Associated with a strong economy, booms are measured as progressions above the long-run trend. In contrast, recessions are characterized by below-trend activity. In the mid-20th century, Austrian economist Joseph A. Schumpeter and others proposed a typology of business cycles according to their periodicity.
Considered by some economists to be components of the harmonic series of economic cycles, the prominent ones include, in descending length, 1. The Nikolai Kondratiev wave, which reflects a long technological cycle of 45 to 60 years. His initial Nobel Prize-winning measurements determined a 58-year cycle based upon long-term agricultural prices and wages. Currently, the wave has been adapted to measure changes in technology. 2. The Simon Kuznets infrastructural building investment cycle, which reflects changes that have a frequency of 15 to 25 years. 3. The Joseph Kitchen inventory cycle, which is 8 to 9 years in length. And 4. The Clement-Juglar fixed investment business cycle, which averages 3.3 years. J.W. Forrester, the Germeshausen professor in the Alfred P. Sloan School of Management at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, has spent 4 decades studying business structure, economic cycles, and national policy. Within the past decade, Dr. Forrester and his colleagues have developed and assembled a system dynamics model of the national economy.
Preliminary studies indicate that production sectors generate 3 different modes of fluctuation in the economic system of the United States. These are similar to the 45 to 60 year Kondratiev cycle, the 15 to 25 year Kuznets cycle, and the 3 to 7 year business cycle that has been long established in cycle theory. Forrester's empirical results support earlier theories of economic cycles. And though Forrester's empirical work focuses on the American economy, his methods can be applied to data from many other countries as well.
In simpler terms, Rudolf Steiner discusses complex changes in cycles of nature in his 1924 agricultural course lectures. He explains that numerous harmful pests such as bugs and weeds reappear at regular intervals of years. For example, dandelion growth is promulgated by solar rays reflected off the moon. This year, the moon is closer to the Earth than it has been in 3/4 of a century. Many of us have noticed the large amount and size of the dandelions in our yards. Coincidence?
In his lecture, Steiner discusses the travesty of vine plantations that were subjected to the ravages of grape louses in Austria and Central Europe during the 1880s. Experts were at a loss to find a remedy against the grape louse. In time, this infestation displaced many peasant vine tillers, reduced the output of grapes in the market, and led to the migration of numerous agricultural workers to the United States. Today, we have various products such as pesticides to treat such problems. However, the appearance of cicadas, misnamed as locusts, remains a costly threat to agriculture. These cicadas are the Magicicada genus of 13 and 17 year periodicals of eastern North America.
From an economic standpoint, not taking active defense against the cicadas reduces production, displaces agricultural workers, restricts market supply of foodstuffs, and raises prices. However, active defense adds to the cost of production and also raises food prices in the end.
Food costs represent more than 10% of income from the average American family. History tells us that the locust plague of 1915 resulted in the price of potatoes increasing six-fold that year. The Great Eastern Brood of cicadas that appeared in 2004 will appear along the East Coast, leading into the Midwest in 2021. Perhaps Nikolai Kondratiev was detecting these and similar agricultural fluctuations when he measured his 58-year economic cycle in the wave mentioned earlier. These agricultural cycles are important. We tend to ignore them because we have moved away from our agrarian roots in our rapid worldwide urbanization.
The German word Zeitgeist means the spirit of the times or the spirit of the age. Zeitgeist is the general cultural, intellectual, ethical, spiritual, or political climate, along with the general ambiance, morals, mood, and socio-cultural direction associated with an era. Nature, or at least that portion of nature that is non-human, contributes greatly to the zeitgeist. However, human beings, our behavior, and our social, political, and economic structures also contribute to the spirit. If we could, we might ask Jeremy Bentham and his compatriots whether they are the protagonists, antagonists, or mentors of the zeitgeist in our current cultural epoch. Perhaps they are all three, perhaps none of them. On the other hand, they might tell us that as collective humanity, all of us are the hero, mentor, and enemy within the mythos of this zeitgeist. We passed out of the former Greco-Roman epoch and into the present Anglo-German epoch during the early 15th century. Within this age of materialism, we have given birth to a new entity among us. It acts as if it were human. Since the late 19th century, it has gained human-like rights under national laws and in the marketplace. In order to understand economic cycles and financial crises, we first must understand the major protagonist and antagonist, the incorporated company. In their book, The Company, A Short History of a Revolutionary Idea, business historians John Micklethwaite and Adrian Wooldridge trace the development of the modern corporation from the 13th century to the present. The authors note that the way we produce, trade, and finance within our epoch increasingly has been a result of the corporate form. Since the development of the Corporation of the City of London a millennium ago, this form of business entity has changed the way that we organize many of our human activities on a global scale. Furthermore, the progression of financial crises throughout recent centuries has attached itself to and conjoined with the development of the modern multinational corporation. As a result, it is not possible to analyze and to understand the nature and causes of these crises without an understanding of the behavior of this dominant form of business entity. Furthermore, we also must keep in mind that the major growth spurt in the number and size of corporations has occurred only within the past 250 years. At the time that British economist Adam Smith wrote his classic An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations, a large company employed only 25 people. By contrast, Walmart Corporation currently employs more than 2 million workers globally. Within the financial sector, the number of banks in the United States has decreased while their average size has increased. In 1920, there were almost 30,000 banks in the United States. Today, less than 8,000 remain.